Welcome back to Property Auction Hunters, and we are now at the end of season 2. How quick did that go? We're at the end of season 2, which means this is the results video. So if you've watched the last couple of videos, the one thing that you want to find out is who was right, who was wrong, and by how much. And of course, we can see Piotr smiling in the background. That means he got at least one thing correct. That's all he needs. He just needs to be right once. So today we're going to go through the Neasden HMO that we discussed. It was at the Savills auction. We will be discussing Saif's long hold post office, and then we're going to be talking about how big is too big, Piotr's 40-bedroom HMO, and we're going to see how they went. So I'm going to remind you of what each of us had said we thought would happen, not how much we would pay, but what we thought would happen. And we will also talk about what actually did happen, and then we can take the mickey out of everyone else who was wrong. So let's kick this off. Should we start off with my one?
Let's start with the 8-bedroom HMO.
Let's start with the 8-bedroom HMO. So this property was in the Savills auction. It was an 8-bedroom extended HMO in Neasden, just off the A406. It was being sold by receivers, tenancies unknown, all the horrible things you hope to see at auction, all the good problems that you can solve. So this was guided at, 650,000 from memory? I think it was guided at that. And we had assumed, rightly and wrongly, but mainly wrongly. So Omar had said, it's not going to sell. Saif had said, it's not going to sell. Piotr had said it's not going to sell, and I said it's going to sell. It'll sell within 10% of the guide. And although that brings me up to about £605,000, I was still £80,000 off. It sold at auction under auction terms and conditions for £785,000. Very well done to Savills, very well done to the receivers, and God knows what that buyer is going to do. But if you are an HMO specialist and you know what it is that you're doing and how to operate, you will find a way to make some money in the next 15 years off that property.
So on this video, we had quite a few comments, and quite a few of those comments were from professional buyers, professional HMO buyers, including the Property Investor Awards 4 times winner, Sam Patel. And a few of them highlighted that this HMO doesn't have a license for 8 people. It only has license for 5. And it was being sold as an 8-bedroom HMO, which obviously creates problems. And we looked at this property and how it performed before when it got planning, number 1, for an extension, and when it actually was converted, and it was purchased in October 2022 for 715,000. That person obviously defaulted on their loan, and receivers took over, and they still managed to sell it for like 70k more than what this person paid a year and a half ago. So I think it just goes to show that if you take risks in the auction, and receivers obviously are at the liberty of taking risks because they need to recover the loan money. But if you take risks in auctions, you can get really good results. And this is just one example.
Yeah, I also think they caught the right side of the market. Rates were falling, and it was a time when people were trying to take on a new project or a new problematic property, as we're currently aware. So I think it was just the right time for the receivers as well. So timing here, rightly or wrongly, they got it right basically. But if this was pre-Christmas, I would say it probably wouldn't have sold. So yeah, I think the timing of the market definitely helped them.
Yeah, still a HMO. As you saw from the title of the YouTube video, a lot of risks involved, but it'd be interesting to see what the person does with it. So if you've bought this at auction, get in touch with us and let us know. So we'd like to see what your plans are. If you can unpick some of the potential problems that the property's got, we'd like to know. So yeah, get in touch if you can.
Amazing. Yeah, and well done to Savills and well done to Jay. Although Jay, you did say afterwards that you think you might not sell. Anyway, it wasn't clear cut. I'm just saying.
Stop trying to take my glory from me, Piotr. Okay, you got it. I
think
wrong.
It will sell anywhere from 100 to £1 million. Yeah.
Yes.
We should have a rule: unless you're in 5% of the selling price, we should discount your prediction. What do you think?
Ooh, I think it's a good rule.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we'll let Jay have this one anyway.
Cool. Okay, Jay, you won it before the rule is implemented. You have it.
Thank you.
Okay, brilliant. The second lot was the Royal Mail office in South Ockendon, and being sold by Town Council. Saif, do you want to comment on this property?
Yeah, so that was an interesting one from my perspective, because obviously we all looked at it from a long-term point of view and thought, okay, well, what will someone pay today for that long-term value? And I genuinely thought, I think just looking back, I thought was it 600 that I kind of predicted?
Yeah.
I think Piotr, you said about 650, Omar about £1, and then Jay, how much did you predict it will sell for?
I said I'd put 100 grand of my own money in, but I thought someone would go as far as to pay 400 for it.
400.
450, you said, Jay, I think.
Guide of 250.
450, sorry, yes.
Guide of 250 sold at 261,000, so just above
It's
guide.
insane. And it's quite incredible that it sold less than 10% above the guide price, and which sometimes the reserves are within the 10%, usually above the guide price.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that Jay mentioned is that, and he said controversial comment, the PDX1 is not the right auction year for such an asset.
Correct.
Unfortunately, the result just shows that PDX1 is a really well-run operation. But unless you get eyeballs on the property, unless you get the right people looking at your property, you're not going to get an amazing result.
Yeah.
Just putting on the right move is not enough. And this asset belongs in auction like Acutus, maybe Barnet Ross, maybe also commercial. Like it belongs in a commercial auction that's got eyeballs and long-standing
It's got
clients.
the right kind of bit. So I know a lot of family offices that will only deal with Allsop commercial, for example, or a Barnet Ross or whatever it is. And it's only because they have a trust factor there, because we've seen all of the, dodgy auctioneers popping up over time as well, new ones just popping up every day. And you don't know who you're dealing with. Whereas when you're dealing with a reputable company that's been going for a long time, people want to deal with the same people over and over again. They've got a brand at the end of the day. Hence why people still deal with people like Savills, for example, because they've got a wider brand. But yeah, the interesting thing is I had lots of messages from different people about A, how good the actual YouTube video that we'd done about that was, and B, about what a good opportunity it was. And then after it sold, everyone went mad and thinking, it sold for way too cheap. And I said to everyone, I was like, look, you've got to be in it to win it. You can't expect to win every single thing unless you are actually bidding on it. You've registered, you've put your deposit down, and you're ready to basically bid. So, that the point that we're trying to make here is, if you see something that is attractive, make sure you do register to bid, read the legal pack, and do as much due diligence as possible, because you either want to nick it on the day or you want to try and nick it post auction.
If you remember from the last video, Saif, I said during the video that we should not publish the video and keep it just for ourselves, so that we could maybe try and steal this as a joint 4-way SAS or SIP investment to retire ourselves in, is it 19 years or something? I kind of wish we bought this now, didn't you? 261,000. It seems incredible value.
Yeah,
this is painful. Yeah, because hindsight is 2020, right? And we were talking about it as like maybe a fun thing. But you look at it now and you think, I actually quite fancy the fact that this will probably get decent planning for 40 to 50 units in 20 years' time. I can see that as being a real possibility, in which case it's absolute daylight robbery. It's someone's walked off with this.
You guys have heard it here first, though, right? If anyone wants to lend us 261,000 on a JV and get a return of £235 a year, we are open to a JV, similar type of property. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. But the thing is, that's one thing we didn't manage to actually properly look into is the legal pack, and we didn't see the TR1, and we didn't know whether there was any sort of overage clauses and provisions. I didn't think there was, because being auctioneer would have to disclose it. But that's one thing to kind of remember and to pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. So on this one, Omar has it. 400k.
Yeah.
It was way over 5% rule.
That's
again,
right.
Before the rule.
So, well, let me have that one.
Brilliant.
Then. The rule's not come in yet.
Yeah.
Okay, the last property was the Megamo, the gigantic 40-bedroom HMO property in Swadlincote, Derbyshire. That one was listed with a guide price of £600,000 by order of HMOs, who's making gigantic losses on their properties. They purchased this property for 1.9 million in 2021, I believe. And now, what did it sell for?
Sold for
860,000.
Wow.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
less than the half price.
Yeah. How to lose over £1 million in a couple of months? That's a really good way of not doing business.
Indeed, yes. And I looked at the share price of HomeRead because obviously it's a listed company, and the price is fairly stable. So I think most of the investors have sort of included all those losses into the calculations. So everyone is kind of expecting 40 to 50% on the money that they were invested in those properties. And I think anything above that, it's a massive gain for HomeRead in terms of the expectations. But I don't think they will make one sale at the price they actually purchased the property for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I was so negative about this, which is unsurprising for a giant HMO, because there was no access, there was no internal viewings. The communal areas externally had, burnt out mattresses or whatever else in the mattresses, and I kind of just thought, well, whatever the income is, however undervalued the income is, the lack of access, unless you're, like what we would do, we would turn up with booze, chocolates, flowers, whatever, to get ourselves in to take a look around. And maybe somebody did do that. I was on the verge of saying it wouldn't sell, and I was really conservative with thinking it's got maybe 750,000 in it. So off the bat, I'm probably the furthest away. It's a shame Omar wasn't with us recording that day, because I think he's a little bit more HMO friendly than I am, so definitely would have been higher up than me. But
yeah,
I thought there were too many issues. I thought it was under the cloud of what's gone on with HomeRe. I was super negative, so I was definitely the furthest away from.
I think I said 775, didn't I? So I'm pretty sure I said 775 on that. Piotr?
Possibly.
Or
775.
did I say 860,000? One of the two. Maybe 860.
Oh, 860 was 850 was me, and actually that's within 5%. So I think I get double points on this in season 2.
It was before the rule came in, Piotr. It was before the rule came in.
I know, but now we know the rules, so I think it's like a bonus invisible point. But it had this feel of potentially selling for somewhere close to half of the previous value. And also, I think you just need to always look at what kind of risk someone is taking and what kind of benefit they can reap from this property, and the potential different uses of it. And 850, 860 seemed like like someone's going to make money from it if they have a good vision and good plan.
I mean, if 860 is everything that someone's got, so if that's 100% of their money going into that deal, that's a high risk deal. But I think if that's 2% or 5% of someone's capital or wealth that they've got, I think it's obviously a much lower risk deal from their perspective. So it's also understanding who the type of buyer is and what capital they've got to deploy as well.
So again, we get some interesting comments under the video, and one of the comments was that this property was actually in Property Investors news magazine at some point in 2020, because I think the Farrington sisters, they actually bought this HMO, they did conversion, and then they sold it to aggregators or HomeReads, and that's how they were still probably on the ASTs. And basically goes to show that you can make all this great money, sell it, and potentially you can buy back your property for half of the price. And I don't know who bought it. I don't know if they bought this, but that would be pretty amazing deal. It reminds me of this HSBC deal in Canary Wharf, where they sold their building on a lease back for 1 billion to this consortium from China. And then about 5 years later, this consortium couldn't refinance the building, and HSBC gave them the loan on that. And because of that, they took over that building, which they resided in, and they bought it for basically half a billion. So basically, they made 500 million in 5 years. And
how to make 500 million, but also had to lose 500 million in 5 years. That's the two sides of the story, eh?
Two sides of the stories, indeed. Yeah. So maybe that could make a really good video on how to buy properties that are not going to lose you £1 million, and how to basically protect yourself against all possible issues that might come up.
Yeah, and also if anyone wants scale, this is 860,000. That's what that means now. So thanks, Piotr, for explaining and showing us what 860,000 looks like. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Okay, guys, make sure you comment and throw your thoughts under the video. We always read this. We always try to bring it on videos, and it makes such an interesting conversation when we can weave in those comments and thoughts that you guys have, and make sure that you suggest some of the lots that we can review. We've got a few interesting lots coming in from our recording with a trader, so make sure you watch those and subscribe to the channel.